Hey, Lars Olson here with Arizona Travels outside the Rosson House. All this is filmed Fuji X05 uh, using settings like Eternia, Classic Pro, Dolby. Uh, it has this will be a full inside, most interior shots, a lot of stills, a lot of video also, and inside and out, a more complete video of the place than some of my older ones. Uh, we'll take a look around. I'll probably add some more notes in the margins on the histories of the four families who lived here over the years before it got turned into a boarding house. And then finally, in the 1980s was the beginning of the full restoration back to its original condition. It's had quite a history in over 100 years. And we'll take a look around. They say there'll be some probably show notes popping up on the screen during the rest of this to give you some of the background. Thank you.
Architecture, which is a Victorian style that first started incorporating machinery into the construction. So you can kind of see that with those table-like structures along the railings, that all of the carvings, how symmetrical they all are, and even how our tin roof here is a different pattern depending on what section you're looking at. Now I'm gonna go ahead and send you all to the front porch over there. I will enter through the back door so I can unlock the house. As possible. Don't feel like you have to jump to get from one to another though, just walk onto them normally. No leaning against walls, door frames, or furniture, no touching anything unless I have something for you to look at. Make sure we stay together as a group, so no wandering off to other rooms by yourselves. And last but not least, photos and videos are more than welcome as long as there's no flash. Other than that, $1,000 of the restoration budget went into the wallpaper alone. So they had to scrape through 4 layers to get to the original base. Then they got samples of that, sent it out of state, and then had them perfectly replicated for every single room here. Questions? Alright. Well, whenever you guys are ready, we're going to move into this room right over here. Alright, so here we are in the formal parlor. This is where guests would have spent most of their time, so again, had to be pretty fancy so they could really bask in the wealth of all these families. We have an example of how the electricity used to work back then through this lighting fixture up here. That used to be both gas and electric operated, and you can switch between the two depending on the knobs at the end of each light here. It was dangerous though because the electric wiring did go. She was able to own not just this house, but the entire block.
Oh wow.
Now, she bought the block from Margaret for $1,000, which seems like a good deal, but considering that Margaret had originally purchased it for only Alright. So here we are in the dining room. Naturally, where families enjoyed meals together and also where a few dinner parties were thrown. Now, despite this being the Rosson house, the family actually only lived in this house for 2 years. They said it was because they wanted to move to California for better schools for their kids, but everyone in town concluded that it had to be money issues. House itself already took a big chunk out of their wallets, a lot of it put into unnecessarily expensive details. So for example, transom windows up there. That red color is not practical. To get that, you need to melt down actual gold flakes into the glass.
Oh wow.
So a lot of pricey things that added up.
Wait, do you know why he was?
So it's not of this dining room, but it's from the Goldwater household, which wasn't too far from here. Now the Higleys were the third family to live here from 1904 to 1914. S.W. Higley got his fortune originally through the railroad business, and then later through the newspaper industry. He's the one that bought up the Arizona Republican newspaper, renamed it the Arizona Republic, and of course, that is still an ongoing publication. So this one right here, not original to the house, but it is the oldest item that we have in our collection. It's from the year 1800 in Wales, of all places.
Oh,
And it
crazy.
does technically technically still work. However, we have to keep it off because apparently the ticking is so loud that it shakes the room just a tiny bit.
What?
Questions?
Is that uranium? Like, is it
Yeah. All right. So here we are in the kitchen. It's pretty small in comparison to the rest of the house, and that wasn't an uncommon complaint back then. When the Rossons were still here during the winters, they would rent out this place to a man named Whitelaw Reed. Reed would come down here with his family and personal chef, and that chef complained that this space was way too small for him to work in. So Reed ended up having to rent out an additional property next door just to use the extra kitchen space.
Wow.
The stove we have back over here, not original to the house. Okay. So here we have the doctor's office. Like I mentioned, Roland Lee Rosson was a doctor, so he would occasionally see patients in the house whenever he had the time. They come in through this, which looks like a window and functions like a window, but it's actually called a gib door. That slides open from the bottom up like a window and locks into place, and then there was a screen door separating it, so it made it very space efficient. There's actually a whole bunch of these all throughout the house. There used to be a doorbell next to this one, so when patients rang that one would go directly into Dr. Rosson's bedroom. That was in case if any patients came in the middle of the night, only him and Flora would be disturbed. Usually don't lead paint, very bad, very poisonous. The cannonballs in that wagon over there are not glued in, so very easy to choke on. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pass this toy around for you guys to look at. This doubled as a piggy bank. You would put the coin right there, and then he could kick it into the goal. And the quarters are a little sharp, so these
there's quarters in there?
or the corners of it, yeah.
Oh,
So these were definitely made more to make sure that the toy itself didn't break, and not that it didn't hurt any of the kids playing with it, because it is made out of 100% pure cast iron. Fabric, so they can still be super stylish without sweating underneath all of those super heavy layers. And while these weren't super popular just yet, they did exist. We have an electric fan. And this one is from 1902. Despite the house having been built with electricity, outlets had yet to be invented. So if they wanted to use that, they would have had to unscrew a light bulb and then take that end and screw it in its place.
Oh.
Well, until 1948. So if you're interested in that kind of voting distribution timeline, that means that JJ's mom, Jessie Howe, was living in this house when she was able to go out and register. And we have a copy of her bonus registration right there, along with the matriarch of the final family, Frankie Gambles. Now, even though Jessie Howe was able to register, unfortunately, we didn't. Luckily, we know exactly who did these because the little artist said their names. On top, that says Hattie, who would have been this little girl that lived down Monroe over here. And below that is Selma, who would have been Selma Goldberg, one of the kids of the second family. That baby carriage in the corner belonged to Selma's little brother, Chester, or Chet. He was the youngest kid of that family and also the only kid to have been born in the house. Color palette, so despite all of these years and changes happening, it managed to survive with very minimal damage. Okay, we are now going to head upstairs. They'll play music themselves, different instruments like the zither over here. High-class women were expected to know how to play at least 2 instruments. So whenever they had guests over, they were always very eager to show off what they know. If they didn't want to deal with music at all, they could always just sit back, play a game of poker, and maybe enjoy a nice glass of whiskey or 2. However, speaking of whiskey, So Arizona was the 12th state in the U.S. to pass prohibition, officially making any and all alcohol legal that wasn't for medicine purposes. This was very. He had the Capitol Saloon down in Phoenix, tried to turn it into a buffet that.
So only family got to use the indoor plumbing.
Mm-hmm. Changes were happening to the house. Some rooms were split in half, others were expanded. The attic, which unfortunately we can't go up, but that was made into 5 different bedrooms. The porch changes happening and people moving in and out of the house. The place couldn't really handle it, which is what made it start to deteriorate. By the 70s, the quality of the place was so bad the rent was really cheap, and it was mainly people on Social Security and disability staying here.